What if the most powerful man in Iran already has his bags packed? New intelligence reports reveal that Ali Khamenei has allegedly prepared a secret escape plan to flee to Moscow if nationwide protests spiral out of control. As unrest spreads and loyalty inside the security forces begins to crack, the unthinkable is suddenly on the table, the possible collapse of an entire regime. Stay with us for the full breakdown and subscribe now for real-time global updates. What if the fall of a regime doesn't begin with tanks in the streets, but with a secret exit plan? According to intelligence reports cited by The Times, Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei, now 86 years old, has allegedly prepared a covert contingency to flee the country if nationwide protests spiral beyond control. The plan would be activated if security forces show signs of fracture, refusal, or defection, the very pillars keeping the system standing. Sources say the escape package includes roughly 20 close aides and family members, among them his son Mojtaba, widely viewed as a potential successor. Even more striking is the financial dimension. A 2013 investigation by Reuters previously estimated Khamenei's shadow economic empire, linked to semi-state foundations such as Setad, at approximately $95 billion, wealth reportedly positioned to help finance a rapid and secure departure. The proposed destination is Moscow, reflecting deep strategic ties with Russia and a growing pattern of embattled leaders seeking protection there. While Iranian state media dismiss the claims as psychological warfare, analysts warn the mere existence of such a Plan B is already reshaping internal calculations and quietly signaling that even the highest authority may no longer believe the regime is unbreakable. What if the chosen escape route tells you more about a regime's future than any battlefield report ever could? Intelligence sources cited by Western media say the contingency plan for Ali Khamenei points directly to Moscow, a destination that is far from random. Analysts note that Russia has increasingly become the last safe harbor for embattled leaders whose authority is collapsing but whose strategic value remains useful. And the logic is clear. Tehran's deep political and security alignment with Moscow has grown steadily in recent years, reinforced by personal rapport with Vladimir Putin and shared opposition to Western pressure. But the blueprint appears to mirror an even more chilling precedent. In late 2024, as opposition forces closed in on Damascus, Bashar al-Assad reportedly fled to Russia, where he resurfaced under Kremlin protection after 13 years of civil war. That moment didn't just mark Assad's personal survival. It signaled the effective collapse of the Syrian state as it once existed. Now, strategists warn that Khamenei's Moscow contingency carries the same message. It suggests not confidence in control, but preparation for rupture. When leaders quietly map their exits, history shows it is often the first invisible crack before an entire system gives way. What if the greatest threat to a regime isn't the crowds in the streets, but the doubts forming inside its own enforcers? Western intelligence assessments cited by The Times warn that the real danger of Ali Khamenei's escape contingency lies in how it reshapes loyalty within Iran's security apparatus. For decades, forces like the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps crushed uprisings with absolute confidence that the system was permanent in 2009, 2019, and again in 2022. But an exit plan changes the psychology of power. Commanders now face a brutal calculation. If the leader has a way out, who will protect them when the reckoning comes? Analysts describe this as a classic domino defection risk, where hesitation spreads faster than protests themselves. One unit delays orders, another quietly stands down. Soon the entire chain of control begins to fracture. Intelligence sources say the contingency would be triggered precisely if desertions start to appear. proof that even the highest authority fears this internal tipping point. History shows regimes rarely collapse the moment crowds rise. They fall when the men with weapons stop believing in the future they're defending. And once that belief cracks, collapse can move with terrifying speed. What if a regime's collapse isn't measured by protests alone, but by how fast its leaders start moving their money? According to intelligence materials cited by The Times, the contingency plan surrounding Ali Khamenei is not just about physical escape. It is about securing a vast financial lifeline to guarantee survival in exile. A previously confirmed 2013 Reuters investigation estimated the supreme leader's shadow economic network at approximately $95 billion, tied to semi-state foundations and conglomerates such as Satad, long known for financial opacity and offshore structures. Sources now say assets, properties abroad, and liquid cash are actively positioned to enable rapid departure should unrest cross the breaking point. This isn't a sudden reaction. It's a carefully engineered exit architecture. Routes have reportedly been mapped out of Tehran, wealth streams traced beyond Iran's borders, trusted intermediaries placed to move funds discreetly. Analysts emphasize that this level of preparation signals something deeper than caution. It reflects a leadership no longer fully confident in long-term control. Historically, when ruling elites begin securing foreign wealth and escape corridors, it has often preceded systemic collapse, from authoritarian regimes in Eastern Europe to the Middle East. In power struggles, crowds ignite revolutions, but money in motion is what quietly confirms the elite believe the end may be approaching. What if the streets rising across Iran are no longer isolated protests, but the early tremors of a national rupture? Intelligence-linked reporting indicates that unrest has now spread across more than 20 provinces, fueled by inflation, unemployment, and long-standing political repression. During the first 9 days alone, Reuters confirmed at least 25 deaths, while authorities arrested roughly 200 people as security forces flooded major cities with heavy deployments. At the center of the storm stands Ali Khamenei, whose government insists order will be restored, even as the scale of demonstrations continues to widen. International pressure is rapidly intensifying. Donald Trump publicly warned that further violent crackdowns would trigger serious consequences, while the United Nations chief, Antonio Guterres, expressed deep concern over civilian casualties and escalating repression. Behind the headlines, markets are already reacting. Analysts fear that prolonged instability in one of the world's major energy producers could ignite oil price shocks and regional turbulence. Middle Eastern powers are quietly preparing contingency scenarios as Iran's internal crisis threatens to spill beyond its borders. What began as economic frustration is now evolving into a geopolitical flashpoint, one that could reshape the balance of power far beyond Iran's streets. What if history is quietly repeating itself and Moscow has become the final refuge for collapsing power? Analysts increasingly point to a growing pattern in global politics. When long-standing authoritarian systems fracture, Russia emerges as the last safe haven. The reported contingency plan tied to Ali Khamenei follows the same trajectory seen when Bashar al-Assad resurfaced in Moscow after his government crumbled in 2024. Strategists describe this as a new survival pipeline, leaders protected not because of legitimacy, but because of strategic usefulness. For Iran, the implications are profound. If centralized authority breaks, Tehran's regional influence networks could rapidly unravel, triggering instability from the Middle East to global energy markets. This is no longer just about protests or succession. It's about the potential collapse of an entire power architecture built over nearly 5 decades. And history shows once exit plans become real, systems rarely recover. They accelerate toward transformation. As intelligence reports continue to surface, the alleged escape plan tied to Ali Khamenei is no longer just a rumor. It's a warning sign of a system under extreme pressure. When leaders prepare exits, History shows deeper shifts are already underway. Do you think Iran is approaching a real turning point, or will the regime hold on once again? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if this breakdown helped, and subscribe for real-time global updates. Thanks for watching. See you in the next report.